Anji, thank you so much for seeing us today. Would you like to give me a little bit of background on how long ago you applied for RTTP and what it's meant for you?
Yeah, well, I was a research scientist for quite a few years, and then whilst I was there, I knew I wanted to use my scientific background out of the lab, and I was exploring different careers. We had IP in the lab, so that was an introduction to patents. I left in 2005, and since then I was working towards actually getting accredited because I knew I wanted to become a technology transfer professional. I got my RTTP, I believe, in 2011, 2012. So I'd been in the sector for about 5-6 years. But it was, for me, it was like, yes, I'm en route. I'm on that path.
So when you were accredited, did you think, that's it, I can now sit back and relax?
No, I thought this is the beginning. Because for me, the difficulty was, I think when you're in the lab, it's getting your head around, okay, I'm still a scientist, but I'm going to use my expertise out of the lab. And it's just that other part of the translational journey. And for me, it was like, okay, what do you need to do? I read up on everything. I spoke to a lot of people. It was not just UK, it was US as well, because obviously it's slightly different how, translational research and the TT profession is seen there. And this is why I knew that I would need to have these sort of skills. And part of it was being accredited. Like you would with a lawyer, a doctor, everything. This is the certificate to say, like, yes,
I'm a professional.
I'm a professional. And it's like, I have these stripes. So I was still practicing. It's just that for me, it was the beginning.
So it sounded like you planned your path to RTTP, and you continue to plan not just for you, but for your team and more broadly.
For me, it wasn't easy because it was all these paths you had to explore, what options you had job-wise, the differences, because the roles, the titles differ. And it wasn't looking at the titles, it was looking at what does that role really encompass. And for me, I did all that research. So it was making sure, okay, I'm on track. This is, these are the skills I have. These are the skills I need to develop. And these are the skills I'm going to get by taking this course or being exposed to this sort of work. I planned the whole thing out, and it was where I just did it, planning as a scientist does on paper. You would plan your experiments. It was really just chonking away to do it now.
So we're talking about the challenges that you overcame when you applied for RTTP. And of course, now we've got the Candidate RTTP. There are challenges. What would you say to address those?
For me, it was like, wow, why wasn't that around when I was planning this? Because it's basically someone's packaged everything I've done. And you need to do. And I think for someone planning Candidate RTTP, I think it's looking, okay, you can do it in stepwise.
Okay.
In chunks.
Yeah.
The business case is easier. Everything is prepared there. If you use resources and facilities that are there, it really is understanding, planning, going through stepwise. Okay, these courses are available and I can take these, and I know I need to have these sort of points within this time. Right? So it's really that additional support as well as resource information there packaged. I think I would advise anyone, look at that, study it hard, and maybe you can add to it. But it is also where you've got that support to help you make the business case. The business case is not going to be as big because you're saying, I need to get candidate. And then within this time frame, I will become full RTTP if I continue it.
So you'd recommend that as a good
Absolutely.
First step towards.
Absolutely. And I think it's also, you won't be overwhelmed. For me, I dived in. I wanted a challenge. Not everyone's going to be that way. Because it's really where, it's bit by bit, understanding what does a technology transfer professional really mean, the different roles, the different activities, the different elements that you want to explore on your journey. It will be different for everyone else. And I think Candidate RTTP it gives the framework to do that. And it means you can feed it in. I think it's brilliant, and I think it's a good way for someone to really make the most of the sector, but also have early recognition for their efforts rather than trying to build up that critical mass before getting the full RTTP.
So it's like success at every stage.
Absolutely.
And it's a great opportunity, I think, to use that as an appraisal tool with your line manager.
Because everyone will have a personal development plan, and they will also have objectives based on whatever, whether it's the institution or the university or the lab. They will have these objectives that they need to meet, and that should be part of it. And it's something that they haven't just made it up. It's really where this exists, and you employed me as someone who's going to really work in this sector
and fulfill these.
It's support it. It's absolutely.
So, in light of all that, and of course the Candidate RTTP, which is quite new, what advice would you give to somebody who is starting out on their career?
I mean, there's a lot of advice or information readily available, so they should use that. For example, practice is one of the places that, all they need to do is drop a line and inquire. But I do think they need to speak to different people in the sector, because the roles do differ and the institutions differ. So every role is going to be slightly different based on the institution and the needs of that institution. But I do think what they should do is really, it's basically the same exercise in planning their pathway, but it means that for themselves it's quite difficult, because you have to be critical, looking at what do I have and what do I need to build on, looking at resources that are there and available, and also looking at the timescale. But it's planning, and it's really trying to develop the soft skills as well as the harder skills. And it's using, for example, practice has the facilities where you can get help in planning that, but it is really planning it and being receptive to whatever advice and constructive information that's going to be delivered, because it's going to be hard when someone says, like, you're not that great at talking to people, and this is a role that involves that. So you have to develop these skills for practice, because networking is not something that comes naturally to scientists.
But it's a skill you can learn.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure. So one of the feedbacks that we do hear is that the achievement overview, the 1,000-word submission, is the hardest part of the RTTP application process. Can you give any details?
I remember looking what projects I was going to really delve into, and what elements was I going to take out. What was I going to write within those 1,000 words? Because you could start and you're thinking, oh, it's going to be easy. But actually, when you put pen to paper, it's quite difficult. It is quite difficult, and it takes planning. And it also takes stepping away. And this is what I did. Because I didn't have, at that time, I didn't have anyone advising me or anything, because no one else around me had RTTP. It was basically where it's like, I'm going to get this, but this is how I'm going to do it. I studied the actual requirements and what was asked. So rather than putting what I think, it was really, what do they want to see, and what would they want to really test to see that I'm capable of being a registered technology transfer professional. So I looked at the projects and the experience that I had, because I had a vast amount, and it wasn't the biggest value deal. It was those really tricky projects that really required you to use certain skills, certain elements of skills. And I chose the project that would actually demonstrate that best. And it was taking it apart. And some of these subtleties that you think are not that difficult, those are the things that really it's asking you to demonstrate that you can do that. And that's how I did it. It really was, in the end, it was very logical. It was a logical way to do it, but it wasn't getting into, okay, I've done this deal and it's £1 million and it's with this, because you don't want who you actually negotiated against or anything. It has to be anonymized. It's really these key elements. That's what I'm asking for. So I think it's really like you would with an exam question. What are they asking? And it was taking it
that's a really fair piece of advice. That's absolutely key.
And get someone else to read it. Yeah. Like for me, it was myself critiquing my own writing, which is very difficult. But I had made the business case at work. No one else had it, so it was hard. It was an uphill struggle. But I proved that you need to have this, and it was just looking. Okay, have I answered it? have I demonstrated these skills, but have I done it over and above? So I made sure that I didn't just address it, I addressed it and some.
Good. And there's not many RTTPs when you think about it. I think there's something like 500 worldwide, so huge congratulations to you.
No, thank you.
Do you meet many of your fellow RTTPs? Is there more, for example, that Praxis Oral could be doing to connect you all?
I think the last meeting I did meet some RTTPs, and it was one of the panel sessions that I was involved in. The coordinator, obviously we liaised a lot before the meeting, and it's only when he was there on his badge you could see that he was RTTP, and you know, oh yeah, so you know it. Oh yeah, there's another one, but it's a slow uptake, and there are lots of people in the sector, and they've been working in the sector for a very long time, but they still haven't taken this up.
So what would you say to these people?
I would say, come on, you can do your job, you have the experience, but demonstrate it. It's why don't you want to show that I am recognised, professionally as being a professional in this sector. And I think a lot of it is maybe fear. And it's really, because it's something that it says, not only have I attained this, but I will continue to develop. And this is the problem. You have some in the sector where I've been working in the sector for years and I don't need to demonstrate anything. But, if they look globally, you will see the people who are serious about this. They really are making sure that they have this and they are keeping it up. But it's also, for me, I see it as a way that challenges me to make sure that at that time period, I have completed sufficient activities to say that I still have this and I'm still at that level. But it's also a business case to say why I need to attend these events, training. It's really where it's continuous. It's going to be a lifelong journey.